My name is Walter Pierce. I am 71 years old. I live in Dayton, Ohio, in a small brown house with white shutters and a maple tree that drops leaves like confetti. I make my coffee at 6:45 every morning and drink it while the sun slides. Across my kitchen table, I am a creature of habit. It keeps my bones and thoughts in order. On that Saturday, my phone rang at 7:01 a.m. That was strange. My son, Harry, never calls that early. He sleeps in on weekends and swears mornings make him feel like paper left out in the rain. I picked up, "Hey son, Dad." His voice sounded tight, nervous, like a guitar string twisted too far. Up, I am now. I smiled into the receiver, though I was already frowning. When Harry is nervous, I hear the boy he used to be, the one who dented my Ford pickup against our mailbox and told me. The mailbox jumped. "Listen," he said. "Today's the big day, Alexa's party." As if I could forget. Alexa is my granddaughter, 8 years old today. It's brown ponytail that flies when she runs. A laugh like a silver bell. Losing Ellen, my wife, left a quiet in me. Alexa fills parts of that quiet without even trying, right? So, he coughed. "Mary wanted me to ask if you could come early." "Early? For, family stuff?" he said. I could hear a murmur behind him, a voice I knew too well Mary's, quick and sharp, like scissors cutting paper. Harry lowered his tone. "Just some planning, you know. Future things." Watch steam rise from my mug and fog the window. I'm no fool. I ran a logistics company for 30 years. People tell you everything if you listen to what they rush past. Planning and future things and come early, all hung in the air like keys to a locked door. "Sure," I said. "What time?" "This party starts at 2. Mary worked really hard on it." His laugh came out brittle. "Okay." I said, "I'll be there." After we hung up, I sat in the kitchen and traced my finger across Ellen's wedding ring, which I wear on a chain around my neck. The sun painted golden squares across yesterday's newspaper. In the quiet, an old instinct stirred something was off. Even the maple's leaves looked like they were listening. Before I go on, if you're listening to this on the channel, do me a favor, subscribe and tell me where you're tuning in from. Seniors need to hear stories like this. Maybe mine will help someone else. I'll right back to that Saturday. I dressed in my good blue shirt and a tan jacket Ellen always liked. I clipped my hair, polished my shoes, and took a slow breath at the door. "Ellen," I said, to the empty house that still felt like hers, "stay with me today." The air outside smelled like cut grass and frosting. I drove to Harry and Mary's place, a neat new 2-story with a wide porch. Balloons bobbed on the railing. Cardboard unicorns smiled from the front door. I could hear laughter and the squeal of tape as someone stuck up another streamer. Mary opened the door. She wore a pink dress and a glossy smile. "Walter, so glad. You could make it." She hugged me quick, like touching a hot pan. Perfume, expensive and floral, hovered after she let go. "I wouldn't miss it," said. The living room was an explosion of color. Pink and purple balloons crowded the ceiling. Banner read, "Happy 8th, Alexa," in glittery letters. The dining table sagged under cupcakes, bowls of chips, cut fruit, vegetable sticks, and a sheet cake with a frosting unicorn. A stack of gifts towered near the couch. Harry came in from the kitchen, wiping his hands. He hugged me too. He looked older than 30. He tired under the eyes, hair trying to decide if it wanted to be gray. "Hey, Dad. Hey, son." Then Alexa burst in like a wind-up toy. "Grandpa!" She crashed into my waist and hung on. Her cheeks were already pink with excitement. "There she is," I boomed, letting my voice go big the way she liked. I handed her a flat package with a purple ribbon. She tore it open. Was a sketchbook, thick pages, a canvas cover, and a small set of fine-tip markers tucked inside. "For an artist," I told her. "Thank you. I love it." She threw her arms around my middle again and whispered, "I'm drawing you a dragon later." "Make it friendly," I said. "I scare easy." The house filled up. Neighbor kids arrived. Parents chatted by the kitchen island. Someone turned on a playlist of pop songs with heavy drums. I stood back, hands in my pockets, and watched the party bloom like a fast flower. I saw Mary smile in a way that looked rehearsed. I saw Harry check his watch twice in 10 minutes. I saw the stack of paper plates, the pile of gifts, the good. Silver out on a sideboard, even though it was a child's party. I noticed the little things because that's what old men do. We've learned to keep our eyes open while we let everyone else assume we're nodding along. At 1:55, Mary slid beside me. "So, Walter," she said softly, "did Harry mention? He did? Good. We just want to make sure family is aligned." She spoke like a deck at a business meeting. "Maybe after cake?" "Maybe," I said, and smiled like a man who didn't hear the faint clink of coins in every word. The party spun on. Alexa blew out 8 candles, each flame a tiny gold flag surrendering to her wish. The kids cheered. Frosting smeared faces. Wrapping paper tore. At some point, Mary handed me a glass of lemonade that tasted slightly too sweet. At 2:30, Alexa appeared again by my knee. Her hair had escaped its elastic. A pink balloon bobbed behind her. She tugged my sleeve. Her eyes were large and serious in a way I'd only seen once when she told me last winter. She'd had a nightmare about falling through ice. I bent down. "Yes, Peanut." Where her parents stood toward the kitchen, where her parents stood close together, speaking quietly. She lifted onto her toes and leaned toward my ear. Her voice was so soft I felt it more than heard it. "My parents will take your money after the party today." The words hit me like ice water down my back. She was 8. Children don't say things like that unless they've heard them too many times. I kept my face still. I am good at that. I learned to put a calm lake over a deep storm. I smiled at Alexa. "Thank you for telling me," I whispered. "That was very brave." "Are you mad?" "Not at you. Never at you." She nodded, serious, then added, "With child logic, if you leave early, maybe they can't ask you." Then she skipped away to show a friend her new markers, as if she hadn't just put a match to the fuse of my afternoon. I stood up slowly, bones clicking, heart thudding in a steady, patient beat. I looked at Harry, at his hands moving as he spoke, as if his words needed extra help. I looked at Mary's mouth, stiff the way it gets when she's decided on something. I had choices. I could stay and see what after the party would look like. I could let them ask, let them push, let them show me just how far they'd go. Or I could leave and let the rest of the dominoes fall somewhere else. I caught Harry's eye and lifted my hand. He came over, eyebrows up. "Son," I said in my mildest voice, "I'm feeling my age today. I think I'll head out." "What? Now?" He glanced toward Mary, who was already watching us with her lips pressed thin. "It's Alexa's day," I said. "She's had a cakey presents, the whole show. I'll call her later for a second happy birthday." I patted his shoulder. "We can talk tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" He tried to smile. "Sure, it's just that, tomorrow," I said. I smiled kind. I smiled the way you smile at a man holding a lit match in a dry field. "Kiss my girl for me." As I turned to leave, Mary stepped in. "Walter," she said, the smile fixed but strained. "We really did want to, I know," I said gently. "I'm not going far." On my way out, Alexa darted in front of me. She stood on tiptoe again and wrapped her arms around my waist. "Bye, Grandpa. Happy birthday, Peanut. I'll draw you the dragon. I'll hang it in my kitchen." I stepped into the heat of the afternoon. The air felt thick, like the sky had been left on the stove too long. I walked to my car and opened the door. For a moment I sat there with my hands on the wheel and my heart somewhere in my throat. Then I pulled the chain from under my shirt and held Ellen's ring in my palm. "You were always better at this," I said, to the memory of her, softer than morning light, fiercer than any storm. "You knew how to see through speeches and smiles. Help me see now." I drove home slowly, like the world might tilt if I moved too fast. The house felt both safe and too quiet. I set my keys in the dish by the door, thought of the maple tree laying a dappled shadow across the yard, thought of last Christmas when Mary checked her phone through dinner, thought of the dozen loans to Harry that never found their way. Back then I thought of my granddaughter 8 years old, and brave enough to warn me about something most adults would have swallowed. I filled a glass with water. My hand shook for only a second. Then it was steady again. What I did next shocked everyone, but it didn't come out of nowhere. The plan had been building in me for months, maybe years, small questions stacking into a wall. Old business instincts waking up like guard dogs. First, I made a call to my neighbor across the street. Mrs. Henderson, a widow too, practical as a hammer. She still waters her geraniums at dawn and stands watch over the neighborhood like a lighthouse. "Dorothy," I said when she picked up, "do you have a minute?" "For you? Always. I think there may be a conversation at my house tonight. I'd feel better if someone knew and looked in at the right time." That them? She didn't say names. She didn't have to. She'd seen the way Mary brushed past me on the porch last Thanksgiving. The way Harry's visits always ended with an empty look and a heavier wallet. "Maybe," said. "I'll be on my front steps at 7 with a book in my ears," she said briskly. "You want me to call someone if it sounds off? Just be ready," I said. "If you don't mind, around 7:30. Can you ring my doorbell with that leftover blackberry pie you brag about?" Dorothy snorted. "You trying to create witnesses, Mr. Pierce? Something like that? You got it?" I thanked her and hung up. Then I took a small black pouch from the top shelf of my pantry, the one that used to hold Ellen's spices when she baked. Inside was a little voice recorder, the kind I'd used in my company days to take notes during site visits. I checked the battery. Full. I set it where the old magazines sit on my coffee table, angled toward the couch. I checked the storage plenty. Let me say this plainly. I don't like recording people. I don't enjoy traps. But I have lived long enough to learn that not all fights are the kind you can see coming. Not all protection looks like a wall. Sometimes it looks like a mirror. In Ohio, I am allowed to record conversations I am part of. That would matter later. For now, it was a quiet insurance policy, nothing more. I made a second call to a number I hadn't dialed in months. "Elizabeth?" "Parker, attorney at law," the voicemail chirped. She had helped me set up my will after Ellen died. "Liz," I said after the beep. "It's Walter. Sorry to call on a Saturday. Something has come up. I need to see you Monday morning. Very early if possible. It's family and urgent." I paused. "I'd also appreciate a call back tonight, even if it's quick." "Want to make sure I do nothing foolish before then?" I hung up and looked at the clock. 3:27 p.m. I walked to my study, a small room smelling of paper and wood polish. On the desk, Ellen's photo sat in a silver frame. Her hair curled at her neck the way it did when she laughed. I took out a yellow legal pad and wrote in slow block letters, "Tonight ask questions. Don't accuse. Let them speak." Why now? How much? What for? What happens if I say no? Underneath that I wrote in smaller letters, "Keep your voice calm, remember. Who is watching you in her mind, Alexa." As I sat there, my phone buzzed. Text from Harry. "We were going to do cake cutting again with just family around 7. Can you come back?" My thumb hovered. I typed, "Not tonight, but I'm home. Stop by if you want to talk." I pressed send. 5 minutes later, the typing dots appeared, then vanished. Then, sooner the better. We'll be there after 7. I stood up. The momentum of the day had shifted into something like a current. I walked through the house and tidied like a man expecting company he didn't want. I washed 2 coffee mugs and left them on the counter. I straightened the cushions on the couch. I opened the blinds just enough so Dorothy could see a slice of the room. I placed a notepad next to my chair and a pen that wrote in a smooth blue line. I laid Ellen's ring on the side table just for the comfort of seeing it. At 4:12 my phone rang. It was Liz. "Walter. You okay?" She sounded like, "Competence wearing comfortable shoes? I will be. I need to talk on Monday. Early." "How early?" "As the sun." She laughed once, short. "Okay, Ada.M. You want me to bring coffee? You'll make me fall in love with you," I said, and she chuckled, the way old friends do, without taking offense. "Anything I should know before then?" "Just this," I said slowly. "My son and his wife are coming by tonight to discuss family planning. My 8-year-old granddaughter whispered that they plan to take my money." Silence on the line, a soft inhale. "Right," she said. "Brett. Don't sign anything. Don't commit to anything. If they push, you stall. If they threaten, you end the conversation. And if you need me before Monday, you call. I will, and Walter. I'm sorry. Thank you, I said, and meant. I ate a plain sandwich for dinner. Turkey, mustard, a tomato slice. My hands were steady again. I put on a cardigan because old men like to wear armor made of wool. I sat in my favorite chair and listened to the maple leaves gossip in the wind. The light faded. The room took on that kind of twilight that makes everything look like a memory. At 6:58, I saw Dorothy cross her porch and sit on her front steps with a book and, God bless her, a pie balanced on a plate beside her. She glanced up. I lifted a hand. She nodded. At 7:04, a car door closed. Another. Then the sound of steps on my front walk. I stood. I pressed the tiny red button on the recorder. A soft click, then the faint glow of a dot. There was a knock. I let 3 heartbeats pass, not to be dramatic, just to breathe. Then I walked to the door and opened it. Harry stood there, hands in his jacket pockets. Mary was beside him with a careful smile, like a person stepping onto a thin sheet of ice. Between them, the humid evening air pressed in. "Dad," Harry said. "Thanks for seeing us." "Of course," I said. I kept my voice warm. I stepped back to let them in. "Come on, let's talk." Harry crossed the threshold. Mary hesitated half a second, enough for me to see it, then followed. The house swallowed us. The door clicked shut, neat as a period at the end of a sentence. They sat on the couch. I took my chair by the window. The recorder sat quiet on the coffee table like another piece of old man clutter. Mary folded her hands. "Walter," she began, and that was when I realized Di wasn't scared anymore. I was ready to be continued. Part 2, up next. If you say, continue, the ask, the trap, and the first reveal, the family talk, turns into pressure to sign a temporary authorization and hand over emergency funds. Walter keeps them talking with calm questions, while neighbor Dorothy happens to drop by with pie that night. Walter sets a Monday morning meeting with his attorney to move his assets into a trust, protect his home, and secure Alexa's future. A small, surprising ally appears and a larger plan begins. Asterisk, Mary folded her hands on her knees. The light from the window cut across her knuckles, making a neat line that didn't shake. "Walter," she began, "we care about you. We've been thinking about how to make things easier." "I like easy," I said. I let my voice be friendly. I let the quiet sit for a second. People rush into quiet with the truth. Harry leaned forward, elbows on his thighs. "Dad, life gets complicated. Scams are everywhere. We thought maybe it's time we help manage some things. Bills, bank accounts. You know, just to make sure nothing slips." He tried for a casual tone. It didn't land. His eyes kept twitching to my face, searching for permission. "Has something been slipping?" I asked. "No," he said quickly. "No, not at all." His foot bounced. Mary's smile held. "We're being proactive. It's what good families do." I glanced at the coffee table. A brown leather folder sat there that hadn't been there before. Mary must have set it down when they came in. It looked like the kind of folder you bring to a meeting when you've already decided the outcome. "Tell me about the folder," I said. Mary slid it forward like a dealer sliding cards. "Just a few documents to make things smoother. Very standard. Our advisor recommended them." "Your advisor," I repeated. "What's his name?" "Brad," she said. "Brad Walker. He's with Shoreline Financial." "Never heard of them," I said mildly. "It's a boutique firm," Mary replied quickly. "Very exclusive." I opened the folder. Inside were neatly clipped pages. The first one had a bold heading: Temporary Financial Care Agreement. The second, Limited Durable Power of Attorney. The third, Family Plan Summary Action Items. It was typed clean, but there was no letterhead. The fonts didn't match. The notary block on the second page had a blank square where a seal should be. Someone had pulled this off the internet and dressed it up in a suit. How temporary is temporary? I asked. Just until things settle, Mary said smoothly. A few months, maybe 6. And what exactly would you be able to do with this temporary authority? I turned the page, slow as a man reading at a sunlit porch. Pay your bills. Move money between accounts for better rates, Mary said. Protect you from scams, cancel subscriptions, that kind of thing. Harry cleared his throat. Also, he said, we have a small situation, a deadline. There it is, I said, still mild. What's the deadline? Harry looked at Mary. Mary's voice softened. It's for Alexa, she said, and there was a nice little catch. In her tone, she got a spot at the STEM magnet program. It's a big opportunity. The deposit is due Monday morning. It's non-refundable. How much? I asked. $7,000, Mary said. $7,000 for a deposit, I said. On an 8-year-old's program. It's very competitive, Mary said. She held my gaze like a cat trying not to blink. Show me the invoice, I said. I'll pay the school directly. Mary's smile didn't move, but something behind her eyes did. That would be complicated, she said. School uses a family portal, our login, security questions. It's easier if you transfer to us. I'm very good at complicated, I said. Harry rubbed his jaw. Dad, please, this is urgent. We can handle it. How much total are you asking me to transfer? I asked. Mary shifted. For the deposit now, she said. And some overdue tuition from last semester we're catching up. And then a cushion so we don't have to come back to you. Maybe 60? I looked up 60. 60,000, she said. Like you might say 60 teaspoons of sugar. The room listened. I set the papers down. Why now? I asked. Mary's mouth pressed into a firm line. We've been handling a lot. Inflation. The roof needed repair. The car, forget the car, I said gently. Forget the roof. Why now? Harry exhaled hard. Because we're drowning, he burst out. Okay, because every month something hits us and I am tired of working 2 jobs and still watching the water rise. Because you have it, Dad, and it won't hurt you to help. Because you helped before and you didn't complain then? There it was, the truth in a rush. I did help before, I said. How much total have I given you in the past 3 years? Harry looked at the floor. I don't know, Mary. Her chin lifted. I didn't keep a ledger. Family doesn't itemize love. I smiled a little. I kept a ledger, I said. I always keep a ledger. I tapped the legal pad on the side table. It's a habit that's kept me out of trouble. Mary laughed once, a small sound like a glass bell tapped with a fingernail. You're making this difficult, she said. Good decisions are often difficult, I said. Mary placed her palm on the folder. We are trying to ensure stability for you and for Alexa. It would be wise to put structure in place now in case something happens to you. God forbid. God forbid, I echoed. And in this structure, who has control? We do, Mary said. For now. We would make sure everything is managed properly. I turned a page. The limited durable power of attorney wasn't limited at all. It gave broad authority access to bank accounts, authority to move assets, to sign checks, to manage property. It was everything you'd want if you planned to tidy a life. It was everything you'd want if you planned to clean a man out. A shadow crossed the window. Then the doorbell rang to polite chimes. I smiled. Excuse me, I said, and stood. I opened the door. Dorothy stood on the porch with her pie on a plate and her book tucked under one arm. Evening, Walter, she said brightly. I made too much. Would you do me the kindness of taking a slice off my hands? Dorothy, I said, you always show up when the cavalry is needed. I stepped aside. Come in. Her eyes slid. To Harry and Mary, who sat on the couch like players suddenly aware there was an audience, Dorothy didn't flinch. She walked in, set the pie on the coffee table carefully, not touching the folder, and settled into the chair by the window. That gave her a clear view of the whole scene. Oh, Mary said, smile strained. We were in the middle of a private family conversation. Most families are, Dorothy said, pleasant as a summer breeze. But I'm not listening unless someone speaks up. Walter, should I make the coffee? Please, I said. You. She stood and headed for the kitchen like she'd lived here 20 years. God bless practical neighbors. I sat down again. Harry's ears were red. Mary's posture had sharpened. Walter, she said quietly, this isn't appropriate. What isn't? I asked. Inviting someone into a sensitive discussion, she said. I folded my hands. This is my home, I said, and Dorothy is my friend. Anything you can say to me, you can say in front of her, helps me think to have another set of ears. I held her gaze. Will help me remember exactly what we decide. Mary sees more than she says. I watched her understand that she'd just stepped onto my ground, not hers. Fine, she said, the word clipped short. Dorothy called from the kitchen, milk or sugar? Black is fine, I answered. The recorder's tiny red dot glowed. Like a quiet eye. I turned back to the folder. The notary line is blank, I said. We can notarize Monday, Mary said. We know a guy. I know an attorney, I said. We'll do nothing without her. Pause. Harry rubbed his hands together. Dad, please. You can be stubborn later. We have a deadline now. For the deposit, I said. For Alexa. Yes, Mary said. Too fast. I will not transfer cash to you tonight, I said. Easy as setting a glass on a coaster. If the school deposit is real, I will pay the school directly on Monday morning. I will drive to the school office if I have to. If they use a portal, you can pull up the invoice and I will enter my card myself. If this is for Alexa, I'm happy to handle it. If this is for you, that's a different conversation. Mary's smile cracked. It's only a hairline, but I saw it. That's insulting, she said. It's clarifying, I said. Dorothy came back with a trait. 2 mugs, 2 plates, forks, napkins. She set 1 mug by me and 1 between Harry and Mary. She cut a slice of pie with the efficiency of a nurse and the grace of a hostess. Blackberry, she said. Picked this morning. Harry stared at the pie like it had insulted his mother. He didn't touch the fork. Mary drew a breath. Walter, she said, this isn't just about the deposit. We also need to consolidate your accounts. You have money sitting in savings earning nothing. You have no protections. It's irresponsible. Protecting money is responsible, I agreed. That's why Liz Parker will set up a plan with me Monday morning. Who's Liz? Harry asked. My attorney, I said. Whom I called. This afternoon, Mary blinked. Today, I said. She tried to recover. That's great, she said quickly. That's exactly what we want. We'll come. You won't, I said gently. This is my appointment. Mary's lips thinned. Trying to be included, she said. I know, I said. Here's what I'm willing to do tonight. You can tell me what you need and why. You can show me any documentation. You can help me understand how this benefits Alexa, and I will decide how to help. But I will not sign or transfer 1 penny tonight.
Harry's foot kept bouncing.
This is pointless, he muttered. Then it ends, I said. Can go, and we will talk after I speak to my attorney. Mary's eyes sharpened. Harry, she said softly, without looking at him. Tell your father. Harry swallowed. He looked at me and then away.
Yeah, Dad, we're behind on the house.
2 months, he said, voice low. The bank sent a warning. If we don't catch up, we could lose it. The honesty landed between us like a heavy book on a table. How much are you short? I asked. 8, he said. Plus fees. So the 60 includes the 8? I asked Mary put a hand on his arm. Walter, with the deposit, the arrears, the credit cards. Credit cards, I repeated. How much on those? Mary lifted her chin. None of your business. I nodded once. That tells me enough, I said. Dorothy cut herself a thin slice of pie and ate it slowly, as if to show the rest of us how to pace ourselves. I leaned back. The chair creaked. Let's talk about Alexa, I said. I can fund a 529 plan. For her education, I can pay the school directly.
Excuse me.
I can pay her medical bills directly if she has them. I can make sure she is cared for. Those are all simple. But I will not fund your lifestyle under the banner of her name. Mary blew out air through her nose. You don't trust us? I love my son, I said, and I love my granddaughter. Trust, I added, looking from one face to the other, is earned and kept. And sometimes it is lost and has to be earned again. Silence wrapped the room. Harry's voice, when it came, was tired. Dad, what happened to you? He asked. You used to hand me the keys. I used to hand a boy the keys to my truck, I said softly, and he learned to drive. I learned too. Keys are power. You don't hand them to someone who keeps forgetting to fill the tank. Mary looked at the edge of the coffee table like she might push it off its legs. We will not be humiliated, she said, standing up. Sit down, Harry said quietly. She stared at him. Something like surprise crossed her face. He'd never told her to sit before. Not that way. She sat. I put a calm in my voice that I used to use with angry clients who were wrong on principle and right on emotion. Harry, I said, if I pay your arrears directly to the bank Monday, and I pay Alexa's deposit directly to the school Monday, that will help. I will not give you $60,000 in cash. I will speak with Liz about creating a plan that protects my assets from misuse and provides for Alexa specifically and only. That is my line. Mary's laugh had no joy in it. You think you can control money after you're gone? She said. People fight trusts. They do, I said, and sometimes the trust wins. Sometimes it holds firm when people don't. Her eyes went cold. If you make this hard, Walter, she said, we will have to make decisions you won't like. About Alexa's access to you, about holidays, about everything. Harry made a sound. It wasn't a word. It was pain. I leaned in. I looked. Mary dead in the face. Thank you, I said quietly. That is the clearest you have been all night. Dorothy coughed. Not an accident. Mary blushed, high and hot. I didn't mean you did, I said. You always mean it when you show your teeth. Harry covered his face with his hands. I stood, not fast, not slow. I'm old. Speed is for people who don't know what time means. We're done. For tonight, I said. I will call you both tomorrow afternoon with a time to pay the bank and the school on Monday. If you press me again for cash, you won't be welcome in this house for a while. Mary stood too. And if you don't pay? She asked. I picked up my mug, finished my coffee, and set it down. I will do what is right by my granddaughter, I said. Count on that. They left in a small storm, hurt, anger, embarrassment, trailing them like the long end of a ribbon. The door shut. The house exhaled. Dorothy waited a full beat, then two. Well, she said that pie was delicious. I laughed. It came out rough. Thank you, I said. She nodded toward the table. You got what you needed? I did, I said, and tapped the corner of the recorder with a fingertip, and a little more than I hoped. She squeezed my shoulder as she passed. I'll be on my porch a while, she said. Lights on. If anyone comes back, I'll be out there knitting like a sentry. You're a good friend, I said. I'm a woman who has lived long enough to know what evening shadows can hide, she said, and let herself out. I turned off the recorder. The room seemed to hum for a moment with the echo of voices that had been. I took a breath, then another. I sat at my desk and called my bank's after-hours line. When a young man named Jordan answered, cheerful and scripted, I said, Son, please connect me to the branch manager's voicemail. I need to leave instructions for first thing Monday. While he did, I also set a flag on my online accounts. New passwords. Two-factor authentication. No external transfers without me standing in front of a human being. The bank system let me create a callback code word. I typed, Maple. I left a note that said, do not discuss any account details with any person except me, Elizabeth Parker, attorney, or the branch manager, after verifying the code word. Then I left a message for Ms. Patel, my branch manager. It's Walter Pierce. Please call me at opening. Urgent. I need to add a trusted contact. My attorney Ann set a flag for no large withdrawals or cashier's checks without speaking to you. I paused. I also need to move funds to a new account Monday and discuss. A trust account. Thank you. I hung up, and because I am a man who knows how quickly small doors can open onto big falls, I froze my credit with the 3 bureaus. It took 15 minutes and a lot of squinting at security questions about old addresses and long-forgotten cars. When it was done, I felt 10 pounds lighter. My phone buzzed against the desk. A text from a number I didn't know. "Hi, Mr. Pierce. This is Carla from the party, Carla Reyes, the one with the little boy in the dinosaur shirt. I got your number from the neighborhood group. I feel weird texting, but I think you should know I overheard Mary in the kitchen earlier telling someone. He'll sign after cake. He always does. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something. Either way, I thought you'd want to know. Happy birthday to Alexa. She's a gem. There's your small, surprising ally." "Thank you, Carla," I typed back. "It's something. Did the right thing telling me." "Anytime," she wrote. "We look out for each other around here." It was almost 9. The house had settled around me like a well-worn cardigan. I called Liz. To my relief, she picked up on the second ring. "Did you keep your head?" she asked. "I did," I said, "and I have tape to prove it." "Good," she said. "Here's what we'll do Monday if you're comfortable. We'll create a revocable living trust and move your assets into it. You'll be the trustee while you're alive and well. When you can't be, or when you're gone, you'll name a successor who isn't Harry or Mary. The trust will have spendthrift provisions so no one can pressure a beneficiary to hand over distributions. We'll put your house in the trust and secure your right to live there for life. We'll add a no-contest clause to your will. We'll set up a 529 or an education trust for Alexa that pays schools directly, not parents. We'll also update your powers of attorney with someone you trust, not them." "Dorothy would do it," I said. "But I don't want to burden her." "We can name me," Liz said. "Or a professional fiduciary. We'll talk. We'll also file a letter with your bank no wires or large cashier's checks without you present and the manager verifying. Capacity." "And Monday morning," I said, "I want to pay Harry's arrears directly to his bank. And Alexa's deposit if the school is real." Liz was quiet long enough that I could hear the whisper of her pen across paper. "That's gracious," she said at last. "If you do it, we'll do it with receipts. We'll require invoices. We'll pay the institutions directly. No cash." "Good," I said. "I want to help the child. The adults can help themselves." She added, "Tonight, hide your checkbook and your spare keys. Tomorrow, pick up a small safe for important docs. If they come back hot, you want no temptation sitting in a drawer." "I have a safe," I said. Ellen insisted. "Best $100 we ever spent." "Smart woman," Liz said. "The smartest," I said. We hung up with a plan that felt like a scaffold, steel and bolts, and a reasonable chance of holding underweight. I locked the doors. I put the recorder in the safe next to our marriage certificate and a sentimental handful of postcards from 1974. I moved my checkbook to a spot no one would guess unless they were Ellen or me. Then I turned on the small lamp in the hallway, the one that keeps a house from looking empty, and went to the kitchen to wash the 2 mugs Dorothy had used. Before bed, I sent one more text. To Alexa, via Harry's phone. "Happy birthday, Peanut. Thank you for being brave and telling me what you did. I'll come by this week to see the dragon you're drawing me." A minute later, a reply. It was a photo. A quick sketch on the first page of the new sketchbook. A round, friendly dragon with a heart on its chest and a banner in its claws that read, in shaky 8-year-old letters, "Guard Grandpa's treasure." I laughed. I cried too, a little. To live very close together in me these days. I slept that night like a man who had moved from a sinking boat to a dock. The water still slapped the pilings. The wind still blew. But there was wood under my feet and rope in my hands. In the morning, the maple tree threw green light across the dining room. At 8:01, Miss Patel called. At 8 sharp, I was. In Liz's office, at 10, we had a draft. At noon, we had signatures. And at 2, Harry texted, "Can we come by tonight? Just to talk?" I looked at Liz. She read my face like a clear bill. "Do you want them to see?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "I want them to understand." "Then invite them," she said. "But you won't be alone. Bring a third party, or 4. I smiled. I know just the woman with a pie. Plan had begun. The next move wasn't cash. It was clarity. And that, I've learned, is often the sharper blade. At 2:35 on Monday afternoon, I walked into my bank with a folder that could have doubled as a shield. Ms. Patel met me in the lobby with that clear, kind look some people carry like a lantern. "Mr. Pierce," she said, shaking my hand.
Let's
"Get you set up." We sat in her small glass office. Maple light fell over her desk and turned the keyboard silver. I slid over the trust packet Liz had drafted, and we'd signed at noon. Revocable Living Trust Walter E. Pierce, Trustee. Assessor. Trustee Elizabeth Parker, Attorney. Forver will. Updated financial power of attorney naming Liz. Healthcare proxy updated too. No contest clause. Yes. The works bet Ms. Patel scanned and nodded. "We'll title your primary checking and savings to the trust, open a new trust checking, and add your attorney as a trusted contact. We'll flag your profile. No large withdrawals or wires without an in-person conversation with me or a branch manager. Your passcode, Maple?" I said. She smiled. "Maple it is." We changed every password. We set up two-factor authentication that would make a hacker weep. She issued a new debit card. She helped me open a safe deposit box and walked me to it with the solemnity of a priest. When we came back, she poured me a small paper cup of water and said, "You're doing this the right way." "Next, Alexa, I want a seat of 529 for my granddaughter," I told her. "Owned by me for now. The trust is successor owner." "Good plan," she said, and we opened it. Made a first contribution that would have made Ellen clap. It wasn't everything, but it was a start that said, "This is for the child." And, "Ms. Patel," I added, "I may pay my son's mortgage arrears this week directly to his bank. I won't have his loan number until tonight." "No problem," she said. "Bring the statement in." "We'll pay the servicer directly. No cashier's checks to third parties." Before I left, I asked for one more favor. "Can we put a note at the teller line, in case someone shows up with my name in their mouth?" She tilted her head. "A polite one," she said. "Something like, 'All inquiries on Mr. Pierce's accounts must be made by Mr. Pierce in person using the branch passcode.'" "Perfect," I said. On the way home, I called the magnet office for our school district. A woman answered on the second. "Ring, magnet programs, Dayton Public Schools." "This is Ms. Alvarez." "Ms. Alvarez," I said. "I'm Walter Pierce. My granddaughter's name is Alexa Pierce. I just have a question." "We can't share student information without a parent on the line," she said gently. "But I can answer general questions." "Fair enough," I said. "Do magnet programs charge tuition or require deposits?" "No, sir," she said. "Public magnet programs are free. If you get an acceptance, there's an online confirmation, but there's no monetary deposit." "When do acceptance letters go out?" I asked. "Next month," she said. "Thank you," I said. "That helps. Would you like me to send you a general info sheet?" she offered.
Oh.
"No specifics, just the basics." "Yes," I said, and gave her my email. I parked in my driveway to read her note when it came through. Clear as glass. Magnet programs are free. No deposits. Simple paragraph that deflated a lie without even trying. Subscribe if you're listening on the channel, by the way. Sometimes, the simplest facts are a flashlight in the dark. I printed the email and slid it into my folder. Then I set my living room the way I do when truth needs space. Blinds half open so the evening could see us. Recorder nestled on the coffee table. Dorothy texted, "I'm on my porch at 7 sharp. Liz texted, "I'll be on standby near my phone." At 7:03, Harry and Mary came up my walk. I pressed the recorder's red dot. Tiny eye blinked to life. "Mary?" Entered with a quick inhale, as if the room smelled a verdict. Harry looked older than he had yesterday and more like the boy who used to borrow my boots and forget to bring them back. "Dad," said. "Come in," I said. Dorothy arrived 30 seconds after them, a casserole carrier in her hand like a comic weapon. "Leftover mac and cheese," she said cheerfully. My bribe for being allowed to sit in. Mary's smile tightened. "Is this necessary?" she asked. "It helps me think better," I said. "You know how some people need music? I need witnesses." We sat. I handed them each a single sheet I'd typed that afternoon in simple black. Letters. Family boundaries. Effective today, will not sign any financial documents without consulting my attorney. I will not transfer cash to family. I will pay institutions directly if I choose to help. I will help Alexa through direct payments to her school or via her. 529. Not through intermediaries. I will not tolerate threats or attempts at undue influence. If they occur, we will pause contact and involve counsel. All conversations about my finances will happen in my home or at my attorney's office, with a third party present. I love my family. These boundaries help keep that love intact. Harry read it once. Then again. Mary didn't take her eyes off me, Walter, she said, very calm. I'm going to say this, and I need you to hear it. You are making this hostile, I simply asked. To protect you. You also asked for $60,000, I said. You also brought an unsigned power of attorney to a party. You also told my 8-year-old that you'd take my money after cake. Mary blinked slow, like a cat adjusting to bright light. Children misunderstand things, she said. They repeat what they hear most, Dorothy said, sweet as a hymn. Mary's eyes slid to Dorothy. This is a family matter. Dorothy smiled. Walter asked me to be here, she said. I'm very hard to move. I set a printout on the table. I called the district magnet office. I said, magnet programs are free. There is no deposit. Acceptance letters don't even go out until next month. Mary didn't touch the paper. That's not what we meant, she said. We meant a private STEM academy, Brightwood. It's a superior program. We have an acceptance there. The deposit is due. Show me the acceptance, I said. She reached into her bag and pulled out a sheet. It was a printout of a PDF, a logo in the corner, a congratulatory sentence, Mount Due, $7,000, a URL that looked almost right. I held it up. It's odd, I said. That Brightwood's email says, Dear Alexa_Pierce, in all caps, and uses a font that looks like it came free with a cake decorating app. That's how their system prints, Mary said swiftly. I called Brightwood this afternoon, I said. Miss Chen, in admissions. She confirmed your application is incomplete. She sent me an email. Their deposits, when they happen, are monthly tuition of $700, not a $7,000 lump. And they're not due this week. Mary's jaw flickered. You must have updated it. They didn't, I said. But this is updated. I tapped the recorder. Last night, when you said, if you make this hard, we will have to make decisions you won't like about Alexa's access to you, that's called leverage, and it has nothing to do with STEM. Harry shut his eyes. Opened them. Mary, he said quietly, did you know about the magnet thing? Of course I know, she said. I know we can't depend on public programs. Her voice scratched. I know if we wait for what's free, it will be too late. I looked at her. At what point does your urgency bend truth? I asked. How much does too late cost? Mary's mask slipped half an inch. Then she put it back on. Walter, she said, legal and smooth, we can ask the court for guardianship if you're impaired. A judge can freeze your accounts. While you're evaluated, we don't want to do that. But Ohio takes elder safety seriously, so do we. I nodded. They do, I said, as they should. A few facts. 1, I had a capacity check last week with my primary care physician. Passed. 2, Ohio's guardianship process is a court proceeding with evidence, and recordings of threats count as evidence of undue influence. 3, my trust is revocable and transparent. Nothing is hidden. 4, even if I had signed the power of attorney, you brought last night, which I didn't, it would still be subject to bank discretion. It lacked the required express authority for large gifts. 5, we don't use guardianship as a stick in this house. Dorothy had the good manners not to clap. Mary's eyes went cool as a winter river. You're quoting Google at me, she said. I'm quoting 30 years of reading fine print, I said. Want a lawyer who can be here on speaker in 9 seconds if I tap my phone? Harry rubbed his forehead. Dad, he said, I'm sorry. I looked at him and tried to soften the line in my face that long disappointment drills. Son, I said, I can help with the mortgage. Bring me the statement. We'll go to the bank in the morning and pay it. If Brightwood is truly your plan for Alexa, bring me a legitimate invoice when that time comes. I'll consider helping there too. But no more stories. No more last-minute emergencies with made-up deadlines. And no more using my granddaughter. As a pawn on a chessboard none of us should be playing. Mary's stare cut sideways at Harry. Are you going to let him call me a liar? She demanded. Harry looked at the paper from Brightwood. He looked at me. His mouth worked like an engine that couldn't find idle. I'm going to bring the mortgage statement, he said. Mary's breath left her in a tight little laugh with no laughter in it. This is humiliating, she whispered. You tried to humiliate my father last night, Harry said suddenly. A steel I hadn't heard in him, maybe ever. He left a party early because our 8-year-old warned him about us. That is humiliating. For us, Mary stood. Sat, stood again. You're weak, she said to him, strangled. You're letting him control you. I'm letting him put money directly toward the problem, Harry said, without pretending. I slid another paper across the table. This is a simple receipt, I said, for tomorrow's payment if we make it. You both sign that you receive no cash and that you will not ask me for cash again. You'll ask for help with bills, and I'll say yes or no. Then we go forward. Mary didn't touch it. Harry reached for a pen and signed his name clean. Mary watched the ink dry like it might burn him. I didn't play the full recording. I didn't raise my voice. The louder man rarely wins the room, but I did one more thing before they left. I played 5 seconds the exact moment Mary said. The words about Alexa. The sound was small in the room. It didn't need to be big. Harry flinched. Dorothy didn't move at all, Mary said. You're recording me? Like it was a sin I had invented? In Ohio, I can record any conversation. I'm part of, I said. I didn't do it to trap you. I did it because I am 71, and memory is a tricky dog. I want a leash on it. If you try to drag me into court swinging phrases like capacity and safety, I'll bring this and everything else. And we'll let the judge decide who the court needs to worry about. Mary's hands shook and then stilled. She drew herself up like a cambric curtain pulled tight. We'll be at the bank, she said. 9A.M. I'll bring the mortgage. Good. I said they left with the kind of silence that hurts the air. Dorothy stood in the doorway watching them go, like a lighthouse beam following a ship that insists on flirting with rocks. She turned to me. You did it right, she said. I didn't feel right, I said. Doing right and feeling good. Our cousins, she said. They don't always come to the same family reunion, I laughed. She tapped the recorder with one finger. Tape goes in the safe, she said. It does, I said, and put it there. At 8:52 the next morning, Harry walked into the bank with an envelope. Mary was beside him, sharp as a pin. A third person followed a man in a too shiny suit and a cologne that arrived before he did. Brad Walker, he said, holding out a hand like a document you didn't request. Shoreline Financial. I shook it. It felt like a glove trying too hard to be a hand miss. Patel met us at her door. Good morning, Mr. Pierce. Mr. Pierce. She nodded to Harry. Then to Mary and Brad, the polite nod bankers use when they smell gasoline and would prefer it not be near the candles. We sat. Harry slid the mortgage statement across the desk. Globe Home Servicing. Past due. $5,482.19. Fees. $138.90. Total to reinstate, $5,621.09. Yesterday it was 8, I said quietly. I didn't look at Mary. I didn't have to. We can add an extra cushion, Brad said, smooth as a newly greased hinge. Make it 6 or 7, just in case. No, I said, Ms. Patel looked from the paper to me. Would you like to pay the reinstatement now? She asked. I nodded. From the trust account. While she typed, Mary placed a folder on the desk. We'd also like to add me as a join on Mr. Pierce's accounts, she said. Oh. To help manage things. Ms. Patel smiled the way a kindergarten teacher smiles when a student insists triangles have 4 sides. We don't add non-trustees to trust accounts, she said. And we don't add joint owners to any account without the account owner's request. Mr. Pierce? I'm not requesting, I said. Mary's jaw went quartz. We also have a power of attorney, she said, sliding a freshly notarized form forward, Ms. Patel didn't touch it. Our policy is to accept only powers of attorney reviewed and approved by our legal team, she said. Even then, the bank retains discretion on transactions. And regardless, Mr. Pierce is here in person and competent. We don't need to look at that. Brad leaned forward, showing a flash of cufflink. It's durable, he said, as if the word were a key and the lock had feelings. In Ohio, Ms. Patel said pleasantly, authority over large gifts requires explicit grant. This document doesn't include that. Even if it did, our policy is conservative. We work directly with Mr. Pierce. Thank you for understanding. Mary's eyes sliced at me. You set this up, she said. You coached them. I obeyed the rules, I said. They happen to protect me. Ms. Patel processed the reinstatement. The printer whispered out a receipt. She slid it to Harry. He stared at the number. Kind of relief that makes your bones want to go to sleep washed over his face. Thank you, he said, in the U. Wasn't the kind you give a bank. You're welcome, I said, and meant it. Now, said turning to Mary about Alexa's deposit. Mary braced. I took out my phone and tapped the speaker button. Ms. Alvarez? I asked when she picked up. Do you mind repeating what you told me yesterday? General info is fine. Of course, she said, voice warm and professional. Magnet programs are free. There are no deposits. We haven't sent acceptance emails yet. Thank you, I said. You've helped a grandfather breathe easier. My pleasure, she said, and hung up. Mary's chin lifted inches. The magnet. We said Brightwood, she insisted, clinging to the plank she was on even as the ocean shrugged. I also spoke to Ms. Chen at Brightwood, I said. She said you have not completed application steps. She also sent me their tuition schedule. It isn't due this week. Brad smiled like none of this was happening to him. Schools change their policies all the time, he said. Banks don't, Ms. Patel said dryly, and stapled the mortgage receipt. Harry cleared his throat. Mary, he said, very careful, very quiet, did you make that acceptance letter? She didn't answer. Mary, he said again. Her face, when she finally turned to him, had all the softness ironed out of it. I did what would get us help, she said. The sentence lay in the air like a confession that didn't think it was one. Mr. Pierce. Crad cut in smoothly. Standing. If you'll let me manage your accounts, I can. You're not. Registered, I said. He blinked. I checked this morning, I said. Shoreline Financial is a website. It doesn't show up in the state registry. You don't either. If I'm wrong, prove it. Right now. Pull up your CRD. He opened his mouth. Closed it. The cologne grew louder. Ms. Patel's smile didn't change. Her eyes did. We're finished here, she said kindly. Unless anyone has other legitimate business on Mr. Pierce's account. Mary stood so fast, her chair nudged back and tapped the wall. You will regret this, she said to me, so quietly that the room could have imagined it. You and your little audience, maybe I said. But not today. Security didn't escort them. Miss Patel is not a woman who turns a bank branch into theater. But she did stand and walk to the door and hold it open like a lady at a hotel who chooses where the lobby ends. Brad went first, his cologne in a hurry. To leave, Mary followed, shoulders squared to carry rage like luggage. Harry didn't move. He sat with the receipt in his hand and looked at it like a man who has been handed a future he didn't deserve and doesn't know what to do with. "Thank you," said to Ms. Patel. To me, to the paper. "Bring me the real Brightwood paperwork." "If it comes," I said, "we'll talk about it sanely. I'll help if it helps, Alexa. I won't help if it helps the holes you keep pouring water into." He nodded. He looked like he might say 1,000 things. He said one. "I'm sorry." I put my hand on his shoulder. "Be better," I said. "That pays the debt faster." Outside, he stood in the bright morning sun and rubbed his face with both hands. "She's going to be furious," he said. "She already was," I said. "Fury doesn't grow anything worth picking," he huffed. "Dad," he said, and looked at me not like a son looking at a wallet, but like a man looking at the man he started from. Would you go with me to talk to someone? About? Money? A counselor?" "Yes," I said. "I'll go with you." He swallowed. Okay, that was the new ally stepping forward. It's not a banker, not a lawyer. It's my son, finally choosing a side that wasn't slant. By noon, Liz had emailed me a simple letter on letterhead. "To whom it may concern, please direct all inquiries regarding the finances of Walter E. Pierce to my office. Mr. Pierce has executed estate planning documents in accordance with Ohio law. He is competent. Any attempts to obtain funds by misrepresentation or pressure will be treated as undue influence." The letter had a kind of polite steel that older men appreciate. I printed it and put it next to the pie recipe Dorothy was lending me. At 3, my phone buzzed. "Carla Dinosaur Shirts Mom-again.fyi. PTA group is buzzing. Mary posted a long thing about protecting elders from predatory neighbors. People are asking questions. I'm staying out of it publicly, but if you need me to say what I heard in the kitchen, I will thank you," I typed. "Hold for now. We don't feed fires." She sent back a thumbs-up emoji and a heart. Neighborhoods are made of these small, brave hearts. That evening, my doorbell rang. Not Mary, not Harry. 2 uniformed officers stood on my porch in the maple shade. "Hats in hand, polite as church." "Mr. Walter Pierce?" one asked. "That's me." "We received a wellness call from a family member concerned about your safety," he said. "Said you might be confused. Mind if we step in and chat?" I almost laughed. Of course. The first real consequence had landed. "Come in," I said, and welcomed them to my living room. I offered them water. I called Dorothy. She came over with the speed of a rumor. I placed my capacity letter from my doctor on the coffee table. Next to Ms. Patel's card and Liz's letter, I answered their questions clearly and calmly and even told a joke about forgetting my keys on purpose to get out of dull conversations. They smiled. They left. One of them at the door squeezed my shoulder and said, "My grandma would have liked you." After they were gone, Dorothy looked at me and shook her head. "That woman is quick," she said, "but she forgets we're quicker when we're steady." I poured us tea. We sat in the quiet and listened to the maple tell the wind everything it knew. Asterisk, the aftershocks came fast. Mary posted online about predatory neighbors and confused elders. She called Harry's boss to say he was distracted. Hoping pressure would force my hand, it backfired. Carla and 2 other parents quietly messaged the principal that a child had told the truth to protect her grandfather. The school invited us not to scold but to a care team meeting to make sure Alexa was okay. We sat in tiny chairs. Alexa slid her drawing across the table, the friendly dragon with a heart and the banner. "Guard Grandpa's treasure," the counselor. Pinned it to the bulletin board and said, "Let's talk about which treasures we're protecting." We met next with a family counselor Liz recommended, Marla Green. LCSW, Marla's office had a soft rug and no place for lies to get comfortable. Harry owned his part first, the drift, the debts, the silence. Then Mary, hands rigid in her lap. Let the real thing out. She'd carried a secret $24,000 credit card, balance from years of patching holes. Her mother had been evicted when she was 17. Control was how she kept the wolf outside. Shame made her sharp. "I thought if I could direct the money, the bad thing couldn't happen," she said. I made it worse. What she'd done, but in the clear air, fear looked like fear, not a strategy. We wrote our line in the sand. Boundaries became a document we all signed. No cash to family. All help goes directly to institutions. No threats, ever if they happen. Contact pauses for 90 days and resumes only in counseling. I would remain trustee. Lexus 529 would grow on autopilot. Mary would attend free financial coaching through a nonprofit and let me sit in the first session. Mary, to her credit, agreed to debt counseling and to stop calling bosses and police to fight feelings. A week later, the magnet acceptance arrived. No deposit, just a cheerful welcome. Harry forwarded it to me with a smile emoji I hadn't seen from him since he was 17. Mary didn't crow. She sent a single line. I'm enrolling her. No tricks. At Brightwood, Ms. Chen confirmed Alexa could join a Saturday robotics club without changing schools. The letter Mary had mocked now set the road we'd actually walk. Then I made the move that flipped the game. The magnet's makerspace. I unveiled a plaque. The Ellen Pierce maker learning by building. The friendly dragon, redrawn by Alexa and laser retched by a senior, grinned from the corner. I endowed the lab modestly enough for tools, scholarships, and a yearly dragon award for kids who protect what matters: honesty, effort, and each other. Funds flowed from the trust straight to the district. No middle hands. Mary couldn't redirect $1 without standing in front of the whole room. She didn't try. We gathered beneath the maple that evening, Harry, quieter and steadier. Dorothy with pie, Liz stopping by to drop the final trust binders. Mary on the porch rail, watching her daughter explain torque to a neighbor kid like she'd been born with a tiny wrench in her hand. When Mary came over, she didn't apologize with speeches. She looked me in the eye and said, I won't use Alexa to move adults again. It wasn't everything. It was a beginning. Alexa pressed a fresh drawing into my palm. The dragon now. Wearing a little tool belt? He guards your treasure, she said, and fixes stuff. Perfect, I told her. Pinned it on my fridge. I won't pretend a ribbon tied itself around our story. Some days still ache. But the money is where it belongs. The house is safe, and the child who told the truth is growing in a place that rewards it. In the end, what I did wasn't revenge. It was a repair. We guarded the real treasure trust and put the rest to work where it could build something that lasts.